Oh, hi there. I'm Alec, and you may have seen me on my other programs, such as my expose on the fact that Michael Jackson is in fact dead. Today we'll be talking about the changes, the consequences, and the continuity of the British Home Front during the First World War.
Hi.
Thank you, Alec. It is a pleasure to be on your show.
Let's get started, shall we?
Okay, so some of the political consequences of the First World War were: there was a Representation of the People Act in June of 1918, which gave the vote to all men over 21 and women over 30. This allowed the voters to be tripled in Britain from 7.7 million to 21.4 million. Also, the Liberal Party went into steep electoral decline during the 1920s and never fully recovered. There was a loss of confidence even among the victors who had been left weak, and this led to a loss of the grip on colonies such as India.
The Defence of the Realm Act in 1914 curtailed public freedom of speech until the war ended. For example, it allowed the government to put restrictions on the opening hours of pubs to ensure that the workforce were always ready and sober for their jobs. Newspapers and radio broadcasts were also censored to keep the public only in the know about what the government wanted. Food was also rationed, and the government took over mining, railway and munitions industries to make them work more efficiently and give excess profits to the Treasury.
Political aspects that stayed the same during the First World War, but one was that Britain stayed a democracy.
Of course, there are also some serious economic consequences for the British Home Front, one of which was that Britain incurred debts of up to 136% of its gross national product. And even despite the little issues demobilising the army, there wasn't a return to normality. In 1919, there were more strikes in Britain than there were in Germany, and unemployment reached 11.3% in 1921. Even staple wartime industries such as coal, ships, and steelwork were contracted. And even the working women who'd been given jobs had to give them back to soldiers when they came back because of the harsh inequality in the societal impression.
The political changes of the war were that the Defence of the Realm Act took control of many industries and took any excess profits of what they made in 1913 to give it to the Treasury.
Few things stayed the same politically. The original world powers continued to dominate other countries with their economic ability because they won the war. There were many social consequences of the First World War as well, not least of which the 2 million disabled ex-servicemen, 40,000 of which had lost an arm or a leg and lived as on hold for the rest of their lives. As you can imagine, they required constant treatment and medical attention, and so the government had to put into place infrastructure such as special villages devoted to ex-servicemen who couldn't clothe, feed, or even move by themselves. And the government had to invest into the new technology of artificial limbs, moving from the heavier wooden ones to the newer, lighter aluminium ones to help the ex-servicemen walk as they once did. There are also many different types of new technology invented, such as two-way voice radios in airplanes, underwater microphones, pilotless planes, and of course the X-ray machine. Despite this, however, most of these things didn't actually make their way into the civilian population until years later. However, it was still a huge breeding ground for scientific breakthroughs. On top of this, society suffered from the system. There were multiple different propaganda videos, films, posters, and even postcards that were fed into the public to try and stir them around. However, this mainly just led to rioting in Manchester, London, and Liverpool, as well as many other places.
Some things in society stayed the same though. For example, women were admitted into the industry, but under very strict conditions, including the fact that they weren't actually replacing the men, but were only allowed to perform certain tasks. Family values were still in place, and the women had to give the jobs back to the returning soldiers. And there was still a limit on the age that women could vote, which was over 30.